Hey guys, welcome to the first movie review I'm going to be doing on the channel. I mentioned it a little bit on the thank you big update video and a little bit on the podcast of episode 2. I don't know if it's up by now, it might have been. As of recording this right now, it's not up, but we'll see if that changes. But as I said, I was going to be reviewing the new Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. This one, I'll put up a little poster in case you don't know. If you're not into anime and you don't know about Demon Slayer is an anime that's sort of risen in popularity recently, and they decided instead of making more seasons that they're going to end it off in a trilogy of 3 movies spread out across a few years, and this is the first one that has come out, and it is called Demon Slayer The Infinity Castle. I think it has, before I even get into the review, I need to put up this huge spoiler alert. But anyway, back to what I was saying was that this is the first movie in the trilogy of the last arc that they are adapting from the manga, which is the Infinity Castle, basically how they're wrapping everything up, ending off the manga/anime. I personally have not read the manga, so all this is coming from someone who hasn't read all the manga. I've watched all the previous seasons, obviously, but I haven't read any of the manga. I know some of the stuff that happens later in the series. I'll probably bring it up in a little bit, but I'm just going to say again, spoiler alert, if you haven't read the manga or watched the anime or the movie, obviously, then I'm going to be spoiling a lot in this video. But yeah, I know a few of the stuff that happens in the manga later on, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see all the movies. I actually think I'm going to just either break down and buy the manga, or just I find a website I can read them on, and I'll probably just read them on there, because I did this for Invincible season 2 or 3, I think. I was like, I'm not gonna wait 10 years for them to animate all of this, and it finally came out, so I just sat down and read all of it in a couple weeks. So I'll probably do the same thing and just read the last, I think it's 4 or 5, maybe 6 books of manga left. I'm not sure, I think it's somewhere around there. But anyway, I'm probably just gonna do that because I can't wait until supposedly 2029 for this movie to be over, for this trilogy to be over, to see what happens. So I'll still go see the movies when they come out, but I kind of just want to get a head start with Invincible and know what's coming and see how they're going to adapt it. But anyway, on to the review. When I came out of the theater last time, these are kind of the things I was thinking about, because I knew I was going to do this video, so I kind of put down a pros and cons list, or sort of just a list of stuff that was I liked or didn't like, or blah blah blah, because I knew I was going to make this video, so I wanted to know what I was going to talk about in the video, so I kind of just jotted down some stuff I was thinking about while watching it the second time. One thing I did really like, that was sort of a smaller thing, was if you had watched the Hashira training arc, and I think it's when Tanjiro goes and visits the stone Hashira and does his training, or the one before where oh no, it's the one guy, I can't remember, Tenjin, I think it's Tenjin who isn't how you say his name. I love the show and everything, but I can never remember everybody's names for some reason, even some of the characters I love. But I think it's Tenjin, sitting there training all of them, and Tanjiro basically comes in and is he does this huge speech basically saying that me and the Hashira will fight the big demons while y'all protect us, and he basically just says y'all will attack the little demons and keep them busy, while us and the Hashira can go and attack Muzan and everyone else. And it was just I thought that was cool watching the show. And then they I don't know if I'm just stating the obvious or whatever, but and when Kimihima, like I said, I don't know how to say their names, and Muchiro, the Stone Hashira and Mist Hashira, I'll just say that so you know who I'm talking about, are trying to fight demons, and then 5 or 10 of the lower demon slayers come up and are y'all go ahead and we'll take down these people, we got this, we got to make sure that y'all are okay and y'all can go fight the big bad guys while we stay here and fight the little henchmen people. And I just thought that was a cool callback. I thought that was cool that Tanjiro made such a big effect that the demon slayers are no, y'all go ahead and we'll fight these guys, woo, teamwork, let's get them. And they were huh, okay, and then the Hashira just dip and go somewhere else. Just a cool little thing that was a callback to the last season, just I just thought it was just cool that Tanjiro made such a big effect that they listened to him and they carried on with the battle, and they kind of just helped him out and stood there and took out the guy so they could go on and focus on to the bigger bad guys, like I said. So this is where I'll start getting into more of the spoilery stuff. I guess that was a spoiler, but this is more of like actual spoiler stuff. So if you're still here, I don't know why you are, because I put a huge spoiler alert at the beginning of the video. But if you have made this far, this is where I'm going to start talking about huge spoilers. With that said, I'm going to continue on with like my pros list, I guess, or stuff that I liked about the movie, just to like put all the good in the front, and then I'll get into stuff that were like the kind of cons and stuff. Probably the next thing I would say is the Zenitsu locking in scene. That was like him creating the seventh form and taking out his brother. I might be dumb and that is his brother, and I'm just like, is that his brother? I don't know, but it probably was his brother. Either he does say older brother, so I'm just being dumb. But I thought that was really cool. Like the music for that. Okay, that's another pro that I have. The music for this, I need that to be available on every streaming platform everywhere, please, as soon as possible. That music was amazing, especially that scene. Just the scene of like the little. I can't explain it other than it sounded like lightning and thunder as a theme song. There's no other way for me to explain it other than that's what it sounded. It sounded like lightning and thunder. It sounded like Zenitsu's theme, which it probably is, which I'm just being dumb again. But it sounded like lightning and thunder. Amazing. The soundtrack was amazing. I need it available as soon as possible. But what I was thinking about the Zenitsu lock-in scene, as I just call it and as my friends call it, is, as you know, it's the usual anime, like, oh, he's down on his luck, he's not gonna win, bad guys won, he's falling, whatever, and then he like locks in, obviously, and goes like thunder breathing seventh form and does like the dragon or whatever, and like shoots up and cuts his head off, and he's like, God of fire and thunder. I can't remember the exact name, I'm blanking right now, but he's like, and it's the whole scene was like, in both of my theaters watching it both times, I guess had their speakers on loud, because it was just amazing. Listening to the soundtrack, Zenitsu talking, and just all of that was just like, it was crazy. But that was like probably one of my favorite scenes, was Zenitsu unlocking the seventh form and killing him. The second thing I have on here, there's two things on here that kind of just all go together, was Akiza pulling up, like his entrance scene. That was crazy. Like I knew who it was because of the shadow, and I just kind of guessed, like, of all of the upper rank demons that are in this, there's 5 of them, Akiza has to be out there, and Tanjiro's here, and it's the trilogy, and it's like the big send off, the big finale stuff for the arc. So obviously Akiza's got to show up, and Tanjiro's got to beat him somehow. So I knew it was kind of Akiza, but it was still sick to see like his silhouette, and then him being like, hey, what's up, Tanjiro? I'm gonna beat you up again. And then immediately learns that Tanjiro is way more powerful than he thought he was, which I thought was cool, when like Tanjiro just jumped up and slashed his head, and he was like, and you're just standing there like, oh, okay, you're a lot more powerful than I thought you were. But that entrance was sick. That, and his theme music playing, just him landing, Tanjiro yelling Akiza, and then that whole scene was amazing. Was just everything lining up perfectly, and it looked amazing. And then that whole fight between Giyu, Akiza, and Tanjiro was just like, it was really cool. Just watching them all fight, watching them. Obviously, you're sitting there like, oh no, Akiza's gonna kill Giyu. Or if you haven't read the manga as like myself, that's what you're thinking. It's like, oh, one of these people is gonna die. I know it's not Tanjiro because he's the main character. It's kind of just interesting to watch. It was just a really cool battle. Just like the whole time was just, I thought it was really funny and just cool that Giyu unlocked his mark just because his back hurt. I think that's a huge meme that's running around on TikTok and every social media, is just like, he got his mark because his back hurt, which pretty relatable. Yeah, like I was just saying, that whole fight scene was just like, it was amazing. And then obviously Tanjiro locking in as well, thinking about the locking into the transparent world and just going full on, just like, I can't explain it, just like him finding the transparent world. Like that scene where Giyu and Akiza are fighting, and then Akiza goes for the punch that killed Rengoku, R.I.P. the GOAT, my GOAT, Rengoku. Akiza goes for the punch that killed Rengoku, tries to do it on Giyu, but then Tanjiro comes in and just like, of course you think that like, oh, he's killed him, but then no, Akiza's arm falls to the ground, and then Tanjiro's just standing there like, ore farming, as everyone in this show does, and he just turns around and he's just like, those dead red eyes, and his hair is glowing, his mark is all, everything. It was just, and Akaza's like, oh, crap. He's dangerous. I should really look after him. I just thought that was cool. Just like a short, like a little scene just to show how far Tanjiro's come. And then he's just leveling up as he keeps going. In the podcast, me and Shane mentioned his dad was still around, or if Tanjiro had 5 more years to hone his skills, the show would have been over in season 1. His dad was way too OP. I think Shane even mentioned that Muzan waited until his dad was dead. Waited until Tanjiro's dad was dead just so he could come back because he was way too OP. And that if Muzan would have stepped down and be like, yeah, I'm here to take over, and he just died right there. Or if Tanjiro had 5 more years to hone his skills and like fully understand the transparent world and just master breathing, that the show would be over. But of course, gotta make the show. Tanjiro has to learn. He's the main character, so he has to level up throughout the seasons and on the arcs and everything. So obviously, but I think me and Shane agree or both say that like if Tanjiro had 5 more years or his dad was still alive, this show would have been over as soon as Muzan pulled up. But anyway, back to what I was saying was I think that was just cool, like flying in and slicing his hand off, and it's just like that whole moment was just like oh, okay, so we're like, this is serious now. Tanjiro's about to like block in and go crazy, and then he does all the other stuff, and like Akaza throws him around, he punches Giyu, they're fighting, and then Tanjiro like remembers some more stuff. He remembers the bear and all that, and so he's just figuring it out, and then he like I think I got chills when Akaza is standing there and talking to Giyu, and then Tanjiro's silhouette just comes out of the smoke. I think I got literal chills when I saw that, because I was just like, oh my gosh, this is about to be peak absolute cinema. It's about to be absolute cinema. I think when Tanjiro walked out and Giyu's like, kill him now, and Tanjiro's like, Akiza, I'm about to behead you. There was like a group of people sitting in front of me that just, when I saw it the first time, there's people in front of me that just audibly groaned really loud. They were like, oh, really? Like, and I think all of us kind of agreed that like, oh, but then like I started people talking about it on TikTok and thinking about myself was that some people were saying like, oh, that's the coward's way, is to take him when his back is turned and just kill him. Or I liked more of the theory that Akiza has respect for people, sort of, in a way, that he respects people trying and fighting him head on rather than just like coming up behind him and slicing his head off. He'd rather you come up, get beat up, and then kill him. I think he would rather have you come up straight up to him and cut his head off. He would rather die fighting in battle than you just cutting his head off behind him. That's my theory, but obviously I'm not the creator or anyone that could really say, but that's just my theory. So obviously I was like, at first I was like, oh, seriously? You could have killed him you could have killed him, but you decided to be like, Akaza, I'm going to kill you. This was my absolute favorite scene, and I wish I could just have that scene and just watch it over and over again for 3 hours straight. And it was the scene where Akiza is standing there like in his pose, and he's like, oh, I see him. Let's see what he does. And then like his fighting intent just like disappears. And then he sees Tanjiro walking, and he's like, oh, he's coming. And that, oh my gosh, that cut from Tanjiro slowly walking up to him already cutting his head off, my jaw was on the floor the first time. I had to pick it back up because my jaw was just on the floor when I saw that. I was blown away. That was the craziest scene I think I've ever seen. Like him walking up and then he just already cutting, and he's just sitting there staring with those dead like red eyes and his mark and everything. I was just like, holy crap. And then Akiza was like, oh. I did get scared when he grabbed his head and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna put my head back on, and then Giyu came in and knocked his head off with his sword, and he fell, and I was like, alright, cool, you won, Akaza. And obviously he gets back up and he's like, yep, I'm gonna still fighting you even with my head gone. But that scene of him just like, oh, he's coming towards me, I gotta stop him, then just already mid cut, or like all the way through the cut, and he's just dead. It was like I said, my jaw was literally on the floor. Okay, so my second to last pro, or what I liked about the movie, was obviously when they defeat Akaza, we see his backstory, and they go to like, they're like, we gotta keep fighting, and then Tanjiro passes out, and then Giyu passes out on his sword like this. I just thought that was, I think like everyone who watches the movie, they thought that was cool because it was just Gyu or farming himself passing out. I was just like, okay, Gyu, we see the fit. All right, we see it. You can get back up now. We see you. Just like him, just even passing out, he's ore farming, and I just thought that was funny. Or like everyone else, I thought that was cool that he just passes out like this, and it's become like a huge meme now. But I thought it was cool. All right, let's get into the cons, or what I didn't like about the movie. I think it's obvious. Everyone has talked about it. If you've seen the movie or talked about it on social media, talked to your friends, I think we can all agree that it was death by flashback. Or at least that's what my friend said. I'm quoting Shane when I was talking about seeing it. He was like, it's death by flashback. And it was quite a bit of flashbacks. A little joke that we say on the podcast was like, when Akiza punched Gyu's sword and it broke in half, I was thinking that Gyu was like, this is my sword that I got from my dad, and it was gonna like pan off, and there's gonna be a whole flashback about his sword, because it was death by flashback. And I do agree that there was a lot of flashbacks. They're just like, there were some that were not needed, but there were also some that were like, I think were needed. So I kind of have flashbacks in the pro and con section, because I agree that there was a lot. Like, it didn't need to be that many flashbacks. Like I said, I do have it in the pros and cons list, because I did like some of the flashbacks, but I also thought there was a little bit too much. But I liked Akaza's flashback. You can roast me in the comments. You can say whatever you want, but I liked the flashback. But that's why I have it in the pros and cons, is because I did like some of the flashbacks, but I also think it drug on a lot sometimes. It kind of made the movie longer. Like one of my friends said, that it didn't need to be 2.5 hours long, and I've heard from Shane that there are at least 4 or 5 more flashbacks that we're gonna have to go through in the next 2 movies. But I was kind of hoping that this was as many flashbacks as there was, and we were kind of done. The next movies are going to be action-packed, maybe a little few flashbacks, but nope, apparently there's 4 or 5 more. Like I said, I liked the Tanjiro flashback with his dad with the bear. I just thought it was cool. It was cool to see like him talking to his dad, him seeing his dad show off his power. I think sort of just like showing Tanjiro how to do the transparent world, and kind of and so that he could eventually, like I said, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if any of this happens. Don't put any spoilers in the comments. I haven't read it yet. I plan on reading it, so I don't know any of this. But if Tanjiro eventually kills Muzan, or kills someone, or slays them, or whatever happens, I'm thinking that his dad showed him that for a reason, knowing that his son would go on to do bigger things, and it was just Tanjiro getting transparent world. I liked that flashback of him killing the bear, because it kind of just showed how he learned about the transparent world, and he did all that. But I did like that flashback. I thought it was cool to see him and his dad interacting again, and just sort of like him learning about transparent world, and I thought that was cool. And like I said, I did like the Akaza flashback, because I just thought it was cool to see him, even though he did kill a whole bunch of people, and he killed my goat Rengoku, R.I.P. Rengoku, rest in peace. I like seeing the bad guy redeem himself. I think it's just, and it just depends on the movie as well, but most of the time I like seeing the bad guy either realize his mistakes, realize what they've done is wrong, or like, obviously, like, one of the greatest redemption arcs is Darth Vader. Him realizing that his son is about to die, so he kills his master and throws him off, blah blah. I just like that final, just like, redemption arc of a bad guy character, and we kind of saw that in Akiza, where he kind of just realized that he was the person he hated all along, that he wanted to let go, and he wanted to go spend the rest of his life with his wife. And I just thought that was a cool backstory to see, just him, his dad, him having to suffer through his dad, and that him going to the dojo and taking care of the daughter and learning the martial arts and everything, and then eventually turning bad, and just seeing like, oh, that's why he tried to make a better life, and it just didn't work out, and he turned evil, and then Muzan showed up and is like, hey, you want to be a demon? Sure, blah blah, and then here we are now. But I just like that in movies where the bad guy does like a big redemption arc. With some of the other flashbacks, like I said, we're just kind of like just thrown in there. Oh, that's another con. Shinobu dying? What? I know it has to, like, characters were gonna die, because obviously it's the ending of an anime, or it's the ending of an anime / manga, that people are gonna die, and there's gonna be consequences, and like, obviously not everyone's gonna make it out alive, but I was like, Shinobu? I mean, She couldn't get a pass. You had to throw her in with like one of the most powerful upper ranks apparently. It was just like, and what is Kanao gonna do now? Sorry if I say her name wrong, but like, if Shinobu couldn't defeat her, who's gonna come in and help her? Spoiler alert again if you haven't read the manga, but I know Inosuke shows up and helps her fight. I don't know what happens. I just know he shows up and whatever happens. But I'm like, what? Shinobu dying? Really? I thought she was cool and she was always nice to Tanjiro and Nezuko. I was like, oh, that made me mad a little bit. And then Doma was just a jerk the whole time. He was funny because he was a jerk, but the whole time he was just his whole like, I feel bad for you. You tried your hardest and you died anyway. I feel really bad. And I was like, I can't wait for him to die. I can't wait for Doma to die because he was making me mad the whole time. So overall, I would say I liked the movie. I did like the movie. I enjoyed it. Obviously, because I went and saw it a second time, I enjoyed it. But I would say my overall score is a 3.5 out of 5. But to me, that's a good score. That's what I would give a good movie. To me, a 3.5 is good. A 4-star is like pretty good. 4.5 is really good, and then 5 is like perfect. So 3.5 I think is a good score, and that's what I aim for my movies that I'm gonna make eventually one day, is to at least have a good score. I think overall I did enjoy it. There were stuff I didn't like about it that I mentioned, like the flashbacks, Shinobu dying, obviously. My favorite scene, the cut from Akaza being like, oh, he's coming towards me, and then Tanjiro already done cutting his head off, Zenitsu locking in, the Demon Slayer is helping out the Hashira, all that. All the stuff, all the good outweighed the bad, so I kind of liked it more than some people are saying they liked it. Like I said in my thank you, I have controversial thoughts on movies, so I mean, not a surprise that I might like a movie that other people don't. But I enjoyed it, and obviously I saw it again. I'm probably, if they release it on Blu-ray or whatever, I'll probably get it then and have it in my collection over there. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to read the manga and see how it all turns out. I'm sure everyone in the comments is like, new Rockstar is the Batman meme, like, does he know about what's gonna happen? But I'll see when I get there. But like I said, I'm excited to read the manga. I'm excited to watch the movies when they come out when I'm 30 years old. I'm excited to see how it turns out and excited to read the manga. I like the movie, like I said, 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was pretty good. One quick thing that I wanted to tag on here. I realized that in my thank you video I said that I'm only going to be doing movie reviews, and I will mostly only be doing movie reviews because I love movies. I don't know if you can tell if I like movies or not, but I will be doing most movie reviews, but I still plan on doing other stuff. Like I plan on doing like TV shows, video games, comic books, regular books, ones that don't have pictures. I don't know why someone would want to read a book without pictures. That seems lame to me. Lego sets, action figures, who knows? Just kind of what I feel in the moment, but it'll definitely be mostly movie reviews. I'll throw a couple TV shows in there once in a while. If a new video game comes out, I'll probably play it and talk about it. But I just want to come out and say that yes, I will be doing mostly movie reviews, but I will be branching out and doing other stuff and reviewing all kinds of stuff. Just sort of like a whole blanket of reviewing stuff. And I'm trying to make it like a series. Oh, but as a little tease, my next video that I'll be putting on the channel will most likely be a review of Tron Ares, because as of right now, I think it's coming out next week. I can't remember it right now, but it's coming out soon, and I'm probably gonna do a review on it because I love the Tron movies. I saw Tron Legacy in theaters, and it changed me as a kid. It's just one of those movies that you watch as a kid and you're like, oh my gosh, this is cinema. I don't even know what that word means yet, but this movie is cinema. And it just changed my mind as a kid. I was just like, I loved the Tron movies. I went back and watched the original. I watched Tron Legacy occasionally just because it's that great. The soundtrack is amazing. Maybe later on, as a bonus video, I'll do Tron Legacy as well. Who knows? But yes, my next video that I'll be coming out with is Tron Ares, and I'll be reviewing it and talking about it and just doing the same thing I did here. So look out for that video. Look out for future videos that I make, other types of reviews. Keep an eye out for the scenery curation. I'm still working on that. I just want to say again, thank you for supporting me, and I don't want to be like the usual YouTubers and be like, make sure to like and subscribe. But if you feel like it, like, subscribe, put the bell notifications on, do whatever you feel. But thank you for supporting me, and thank you for watching the video. I'll see you guys next time.